now turn up.
What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Herc here, and this is Ask Herc Part 3. And every week I gather questions just to answer for you guys, whether it's gaming related or computer related. So this week we start off with Chris Hanashinyuna. I'm sorry I messed that up. But Chris says, hello, I'm getting a very good offer on an Intel Core i5-4460 with an H97 ASUS motherboard. I want to know whether this processor can run most games for the next 3 years on 1080p and 60 frames per second with an appropriate GPU. Okay, Chris, so first thing is I want to say is that 4th gen is probably the minimum that I would go. Not saying that the 2nd or 3rd gen are bad chips, because people still run with them and they're fine with them. But if you're getting something that's new to you, 4th gen is probably the lowest that I would go, especially since we're in the 8th gen and we're about to go into the next gen probably in the next 6 months, most likely. All right. As far as the next 3 years goes, you're talking about a chip that's going to be what? 7 years old, almost a decade old. So you want to also keep that in mind. And, you know, games tend to grow at that rate, but, you know, I mean, it's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. Obviously, if you get an 8th gen chip today, obviously it will last you the next 3 years, especially since we're talking about the 4th gen today. So it's really hard to tell off of that. But it also depends on what kind of games you're playing. Are you playing demanding games like GTA 5 or less demanding games like Counter-Strike? All right. Obviously, if you're playing less demanding games, then it's a no-brainer. The i5 is perfect. But if you're playing games like GTA and you want to play in those max settings, which you probably won't be able to hit, then it's going to be quite tough. Now, you can play games at 1080p and 60 frames per second on low settings and medium settings with the appropriate GPU, which also brings me to my other question. What GPU are you really referring to? Are you talking about a GTX 700, a GTX 900, or maybe a R7 or R9 or RX? I mean, the question really is unfinished, because without really knowing what GPU range that you're going to, it's going to be tough to kind of answer the questions and really determine if this chip will last as much as you want. Now, if you get something like a GTX 1080 Ti, then you're probably most likely 90% will get bottlenecked by that i5. So just something to look out for. All right, so I hope that answered the question. I know I really didn't, but it's really not enough information to go off of. So next we have Vil Sunstedt. All right, and he says, or she says, okay, so I ordered a company to build my computer for me, but I was kind of in a hurry when choosing the PSU. First off, you know what? Let's finish the question. The specs are RX 480. I own this from before, and I would just put it in when the rest gets built for me. i5 8600K, 16 gigabytes of Hyper-Fury something, a Z370 motherboard, a 250 gigabyte SSD most likely, and a crappy case, Intech P8. It was on sale for 40 euros. And the PSU, Corsair VS650. That's the problem. After Googling, I found out that the Corsair VS650 is kind of crappy. This is just what I remember. I ordered it in the store and just knew I wanted a good new CPU and 16 gigabytes of RAM. So the questions I'm asking are basically, did I mess up? Would the PSU even be able to run my PC at all? And if so, would it be hazardous to the others? Obviously, more expensive hardware. All right, Vil. First off, you're obviously new into this whole PC gaming community and building community as well, but building a PC is not hard at all. It really isn't. There's numerous of videos online on YouTube that explains how you can build a PC. Now, it may look dangerous, but it's not. As long as you're not moonwalking on a carpet in your socks and rubbing a balloon, you're gonna be good to go. All right. So that's just something I want to point out there. The RX 480, obviously a good choice. The i5, good choice. 16 gigabytes, you didn't need it. You'll be good with 8 gigabytes, especially in gaming. 250 gigabyte, I'm assuming that's an SSD. That's also a good choice. Just know that if you want more games, you may want to consider upgrading or getting a secondary hard drive, which is not that expensive. It's $50. The Antec P8 case, I'm not familiar with it, but if it's small, then you really have to consider airflow, because you have an 8600K, which does not come with a cooler. So you're going to have to make sure that you have some type of airflow going on inside the case, unless it's liquid cooled. Even then, that radiator with those fans is gonna constantly have to be cooled. Now, the power supply, the Corsair VS650, will it run a PC? Yes. The power supply is going to run this PC regardless, all right? It's going to turn it on. You're going to be able to boot into Windows. You're good to go. As far as gaming, you can still game. I'm going to say this. You can still game, but I would not recommend that you overclock your CPU. I would not recommend that you overclock your GPU at all, because the more power from a lesser known power supply is obviously, it's going to cause problems down the line. Now, the most that's going to happen is that your power supply is going to go bad and your PC is going to shut off. There has been reports where the power supply can damage other parts, but that's not really likely, especially in today's world. So what I recommend is quickly, if you could, change the order or cancel the order and try to go for another power supply. All right. Now, obviously, Corsair is a top name brand in the PC gaming community. I have a CXM 650, which is doing great. I had it for 3 years, and I keep my PC on 24/7, and I game like crazy. My CPU is overclocked, my GPU is overclocked, and I'm still not having any issues whatsoever. So you definitely want to consider a different PS power supply. So just keep that in mind. Now, will you be able to do what you really want to do, which is most likely overclock that CPU? Like I said, no, I wouldn't recommend it, because the more power you try to feed to your components, it's just going to, I'm not going to say break the power supply, but it's just going to shut down. And that's probably something you really don't want, especially when spending so much money into this PSU. Now, also, you say that you just wanted 16 gigabytes of RAM. Just because you have more RAM doesn't mean that your gaming is going to be perfected as well. All right. 8 gigabytes is enough, because Windows is very good at managing memory. All right. And also, you got to think that you have an SSD, so it's also going to be quick as well. So just because you have 16 or 32 gigabytes does not increase your frames per second. It will, however, increase gameplay as far as the instructions going to the game, but it's not going to give you more frames per second. So I want you to think of that. So hopefully you're able to change out that power supply and get something better. All right. Next question comes from H. Pashworth. And H says, please, if you have any idea what's going on, I'd love to see your insight. Anything will be grateful, even if it doesn't work. I have a problem where my computer will not go past the BIOS setup screen, even though the hard drive has Windows 10 on it and has worked in the build before. I was simply testing older hard drives and put my main one back in. The BIOS recognizes the hard drive as storage device, but every time I try to boot from it, it goes straight back to the ASUS BIOS utility. Thanks, guys. PC, H10 motherboard, 1 terabyte hard drive, G560, all that stuff doesn't matter. All right, so pretty much it sounds like that, by swapping hard drives, you probably messed up something. So I'm not sure if you have done this already, but you may just want to reset your motherboard settings. Just go in there, reset the defaults, and hopefully that works. If that doesn't work, take out the battery that's actually on the motherboard. It's just a circle battery called the CMOS battery. Take that out for about 10-15 seconds, and then put it back in, and then boot up. And hopefully that should work. If that still doesn't work, you may want to consider reformatting. I don't really see that happening, but you may want to consider reformatting. So hopefully you backed up your data and you can reinstall Windows. If you're getting an error, now you're not really getting an error. You're saying that it's going straight to the BIOS, which really doesn't make sense, because if you have a hard drive in there, it should at least say no boot device available. So unless your F2 or F8 key is stuck, it shouldn't go straight to the BIOS. So check your boot order. Make sure that hard drive is number one, and make sure nothing is plugged in like a USB drive or something like that. And you make sure the other drives, I don't know if you have other drives connected, but make sure those are not connected as well. So hopefully all of this works and you can get back into Windows. Worst case scenario, you may just have to reinstall Windows. So H, good luck with that, and yeah. All right, this is a long one, and it comes from Pasendu 2. And Pasendu says, my current specs are as follows. An i5 4460, it's the pop of the car today, ain't it? A Bravo 85 motherboard, 16GB of DDR3 RAM, a GTX 1060 6GB, and an SSD boot drive, and a 4TB for other things. All right, not bad. I built this computer for about 3 years ago with a R9 270X 4GB for gaming and virtualization for testing various applications. I swapped out the R9 for the GTX 1060 in 2016, and I played most games with 1080p. According to internet, my VGA should be able to handle modern games for 60 frames per second with high to ultra settings without any issue. Problem is, it doesn't. I'm only getting 41 to 55 on most titles for me, and it's unacceptable. I need 60 frames per second with ultra. So with this year's savings, I decided to buy a GTX 1080 or an 1180 if it comes up by that time. All right, the reason that I'm laughing is because 45, 55, and 60, I mean, I know people can tell the difference between 55, 50, 40, and 60. No people can tell the difference, but if you're getting 55 and you need those extra 5 frames, it baffles me, but whatever. Let's keep reading. One of my friends said that this might be an issue with the processor bottleneck in my GPU. I don't think that's possible because GTX 1060 doesn't need that much PCI lanes. His suggestion was that I should upgrade my entire rig to a Ryzen 2600. This will also help me with my virtualization since it has more cores. One, and keep my GTX 1060, then buy a new graphics card after a year, whichever the latest one available. According to calculations, it's slightly cheaper than buying a GTX 1080 in here. Processor, motherboard, RAM combined. So here are my 2 questions. What do you guys think I should do? Go to Ryzen or buy a 1080? If I pair my existing rig for 1080, will it bottleneck because my processor doesn't have enough PCI lanes? Thanks in advance to start for my bad English. All right, Pasendu. First off, English is pretty on point. Not really anything I'm tripping off of. Now, I think you're confusing bottlenecking and PCI lanes. PCI lanes really is, the best way to explain it is how much, how can I put this? How much juice can a CPU handle? How many things can a CPU send instructions to? All right. That's the whole point of a PCI lane. That's the best way that I can put it without getting very technical. And your friend's right. Most likely your i5 is bottlenecking. All right. And the reason for this is because just because you have enough PCI lanes doesn't mean that your CPU is fast enough to give out instructions to that GPU. All right. So what's happening is your GPU most likely is sitting idle while your CPU is busy with calculations, try to figure out what to do to tell your GPU what to draw on your screen. And your GPU is just sitting there like, okay, I'm waiting. Are you going to tell me what to do? What should I do? I got things to do. What do you want me to do? And it's just waiting for those instructions from the CPU, where your CPU is just sitting there like it's in a sweatshop, just pumping out. You know, so most likely that's the case. What I would say is look at the utilization of what your CPU usage is. All right. Now, you seem like you know what you're doing because you're in the virtual environments, which is great because you don't really want to install something just to take it back down. So you seem like you know what you're doing. So go ahead and check out what your usage is. Now, if your CPU usage is 100% and your GPU usage is like 50 or 70%, then yes, that is definitely a bottleneck. Now, if your CPU is like, I don't know, 40 to 50%, and your GPU is 100%, which is where it should be, then we may have to look into something else. It may be temperature related or something like that. As far as the upgrade goes, I would recommend to go the Ryzen route. Obviously, like you already know, it's cheaper to go that route. All right, and you can still play today's game, AAA title games at 1080p. You don't need a GTX 1080 because a GTX 1080 is really good for those who have a 1440p monitor. So unless you plan on upgrading your monitor, you really don't need anything else. Hell, you can go with a GTX 1070 and still be good. All right, so I don't recommend to go to a GTX 1080 and spend $700, $800 where you can just upgrade your CPU to today's standard. And GTX is still pretty new, even though it's 2 years old. It's still pretty new, and I believe that you will be good with that. So go ahead and go with the Ryzen. Get the 2600. Get 8 gigabytes of RAM, or if you can get 16 gigabytes of RAM, but I know RAM prices are through the roof, and just get a cheap motherboard. All right, so and you should be good there. Happy gaming, and yeah, your friend was right. All right, and finally we have Drew Williams 22. Finally, I'm about to build my first gaming PC. After taking multiple people's advice, I have made tweaks to my list and have come up with my final build plan. I have already purchased a G-Sync 1440p 144 Hz monitor to go with my new computer. Is this computer plan well designed? Also, any first build tips would be much appreciated. Thanks. All right, so let's take a look at this list here, and it does look pretty impressive. All right, so he has a brand new i7 8700K, Kraken X62 water cooler, a ASRock Z73 Stream 4 motherboard, Corsair VS650 LPS 16 gigabytes, 3200 memory, 500 gigabyte 860 Evo, a Barracuda 2 terabytes, 7200 RPM hard drive, a GTX 1080 8 gigabytes from MSI, the S340 Elite case, and a Supernova G3 750 watt 80 plus gold power supply, all for 1577 pounds, if I'm not mistaken, for my UK friends. But yeah, this build looks good. It looks great. The 8700, obviously, that's gonna last you for some time to come. The X62 from NZXT, I have that myself. I've done a review here, and it's awesome. It works just like it should. It keeps it cool. Right now, my temperatures are, I believe, let's see here, it's 23 Celsius, so that's good as well. Motherboard, I mean, it's a motherboard. It's going to house everything for you. The RAM, if you really care about speed, that's up to you. Just know that it really does not help gaming. The speed is for computations, and the faster RAM doesn't mean that you're going to have better gaming performance. Now, Now the CPU is going to be able to give instructions faster to the GPU, but it's not going to help in more frames per second. So I just want you to keep that in mind. But hey, if you want to get that, go ahead and get that. Me personally, I'm a G-Skills guy, but hey, what do I know? The 860 500 gigabytes, I mean, it's an SSD. Yes, you're going to get some good write speeds and read speeds, but it's an SSD. It's going to be fast. Your PC is going to boot up in about 5 seconds. So I have the 750, and I have it for about 3 years now. Haven't upgraded, haven't need to upgrade it. I got it on sale for $100 500 gigs for $100, which was really unheard of 2 years ago. But yeah, you don't need to upgrade it. It's good. Some people may tell you to get a 960, which is the M.2, but I mean, it's an SSD. Unless you're doing a lot of transferring, it's not going to help gaming at all. It's just going to load quicker, and even that, it's going to load maybe 5 or 10 seconds faster. Seagate, I'm not a big fan of Seagate. I had a lot of history and bad history with them, especially in Apple computers. So I know that's a different type of computer, but Apple computers, Seagates always fail. I'm a Western Digital guy, but hey, I know a lot of people who love Seagate, who stand by Seagate. Even Linus uses his servers with Seagate. So if you want to stick with Seagate, go ahead and stick with them. GTX 1080, 8 gigabytes. Of course, is the sweet spot for 1440p, maybe some light 4K gaming as well if you decide to upgrade your monitor, but the GTX 1080 should be good enough. I'm not sure what the prices are for the GTX 1070 Ti, but it looks like you're getting this one for about $500. So, I mean, you might as well just go for it. The S340 Elite, great case to have. I have the regular S340, and it's still a great case. I love it. I really wouldn't change it. I mean, there's no need to change it. It fits everything from RGB lights to the water cooler, 240 millimeter, my GTX 1060, SSDs, hard drives, all of that. So it's good. So yeah. And then of course the power supply. Power supply is probably the most important thing. Without it, you're not gonna be able to turn on a computer at all. So with that being said, I mean, EVGA is a great company. I stand behind their products, and they have a great warranty as well. And you're getting the Supernova G3, which is top of the line. So you're good there. As far as first building tips, you can hear a lot of people say that you need a ESD strap. You really don't need it. You can touch the inside of a PC without the strap. All right. All you have to do is touch some metal to discharge yourself from all that static electricity that you may have built up. As long as you're not moonwalking on carpet and you're not playing with balloons, you should have nothing to worry about. Okay. No, don't get scared or anything. Obviously, you do want to take your time when it comes to that CPU, but other than that, there's nothing really scary. You know, you may think that it's like playing with a bomb or something, and I get it. These are expensive parts. I mean, you're dropping $1,500 on it, but I don't want you to be scared, because it's a fun thing. Once you bring it together and you turn on that thing and it says no boot drives available, you know you've done something right, and it's a great feeling. So Jude, I hope you enjoy your new PC, and add me on Steam if you can, Herc 08. I will have the link in the description below. Well, guys, that's all I got. It's your boy Herc 08 here. If you have any questions, hit me up on Twitter, Herc 08. Drop a comment below, or just ask on Facebook. You know, I'm on there as well. Again, I'm going to try to do these every week. It's not that hard like I thought it would be, and it's kind of fun. I enjoy helping others. If you like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down. As always, subscribe to the channel. Got more content coming on the way. It's your boy Herc 08. I'm out of here. Peace. Don't touch mine.